This is the Yuka Mammotion Mini. And yeah, we're going to be setting this up out here. There's a plug right there, so don't really want to wire it anywhere else because there's no plugs, but I think it comes with a pretty long wire, so there's not really the best place to put this thing. So it works off of RTK, and it needs to be plugged in, like the RTK and the base station needs to be plugged in so that it can recharge itself if it's not done. So it says 0.2 acre max. I think it goes up to 0.3. We'll take it apart, set it up, and follow the directions, and hopefully get it set up in a timely manner. We do have a camera up here that's working off a solar panel. So I was thinking of hooking up the RTK to get some better signal, but we will see what the signal looks like for this thing if it's just like right here. Try to not put it close to trees and stuff like that, but there's not a ton of places other than maybe garden bed over here, and the spot that I told you before, like just hanging it off the roof there, or not the roof, but the siding there. There's a bit of wood right here, so I was thinking of like just hooking it up a little bit above there or on the other side of the gutter there. So we'll see. We'll keep you posted and updated. This needs to be connected to Wi-Fi, the base station. So we have a pretty strong signal out here because we have a multi-point Wi-Fi system. So you might want to check that just to make sure. Obviously our camera's hooked up there, so it gets pretty good Wi-Fi. And if I hook it up here, move this table a bit, we should be able to, get this thing set up. It has been an hour and a half, and I've mapped out the entire thing, set up the RTK in a temporary spot where I think it should be fine. Base station is set up here. It is possible for me to set up, like I said, over there, but I set it up right here and it seemed to map out everything fine. I think we'll just need to see, again, big tree is automatically going into the recharger, so that's good that it's able to figure that out. But yeah, we'll see. I'll give an update on how this actually does. I did some no-go lines by these little plants here because we want them to grow. I want to make sure it doesn't just run them over and stuff like that. So we'll see if that works or not. I did do no-go lines around here. I mapped the outline of this and put a no-go line like here, but I did not map this, so I don't know what it's going to do with this tree. And then we did channels to each of the areas for where, like, because obviously it has to cross the sidewalk and cross the driveway. So we did set all those things up, so we'll see what it ends up doing. Obviously this is my first time working with a robot's lawnmower. I'll be able to tell you the pros and the cons. Obviously it'll be similar to like a Roomba or something like that, where you do have to line up things and make sure that, you know, there's no toys and stuff like that on the lawn. Now it does have vision, but from what I understand, it's okay. It's not amazing. So we will see how this works. I guess I can start the lawn and see how it does. And then if it gets into spots where I think it's an issue or spots where I want to make sure it does properly, then we'll do that. I think it makes sense to try to hook up the RTK somewhere where it will permanently be stations. It would be nice to put it like right up here and then shoot it out a little bit here so that we can get a nice line of sight to the satellites. This is like literally between two trees. The charging station is right here. You have the ability to use another plug, so you can basically use this on the other side of the house. It doesn't really need to have, like, it just needs to be connected to your Wi-Fi. And it can connect via a 4G connection, but obviously that's going to be less stable than something that through Wi-Fi. Like I mentioned, like the best part would probably be like somewhere in this garden here. But again, like there's no plug or electricity out here, and I can hook it up to like a solar panel or something like that. But again, I'm not sure what the best idea is to do. I can hook up a solar panel like I'm charging this one and hook it up here or something like that, but it does need constant power. So it would need to have like a battery bank attached to it. This one does have a battery bank attached to it, so that it's basically charging the battery and then charging the camera from the battery. So I'm not sure what we'll end up doing, but we'll figure something out. It has been let loose on its inaugural lawn mowing. We'll see how it does, and I guess we'll report back. So this thing mowed quite a bit, or this is like a little over 20%, and that was with this at 1.6 FPS, whatever that means, 2.8 inches. The grass isn't super long, so I also turned the blade speed to high just because I want a better cut. And it says it should charge in 220 minutes to full. I don't know if it'll charge to full or not, or what the deal is. I guess we'll see when we get that notification that it's coming back out. But yeah, I think it lives close to that 160 minutes that it says that it'll mow for, and it'll just keep mowing, coming back to the charging station and mowing some more. All right, it got up to 90%, and then it started coming back out here. So it's been active on this first job for 292 minutes. And it says it's gonna take another 300 minutes to mow the rest of the lawn here. So obviously, if you're looking for something that is going to not take a long time mowing, this is probably not your answer. But if you don't care about how long it is and passively going to do it, then I guess this is okay. Okay, I screwed up a bit because I put a channel from this side over here to this side to mow this area, which is the second area it's supposed to go. So it had to go all the way around the house to come back here. So I will likely have to create a channel from this side of the yard to the back side so that it doesn't have to go all the way around. Finished earlier this morning while I was on my bike ride, and finished mowing the line. So I guess let's give it a look-see and see how it did here. Gotta check over here. I think missed part of this, but again, some of this can be a bit spotty, but just take a look around here. Did all of this. There's some blades of grass here that are a bit shoddy. Like right here, it missed this entire thing. Here it missed some things just because there's a tree, so obstacle avoidance for that. Here because there was a no-go zone, and then here again because tree, obstacle avoidance. But generally it looks pretty decent. I'll have to check the front to see how it was doing. So major issue here. So this is technically part of our yard right here. And in this here, usually I mow this portion of it. It got stuck right here. So there's another house right here, and then there's a big tree here. So it did get lost back here. So what I'll probably end up doing is just map not this as not part of the perimeter. So just include all of this and not that portion of the yard. But let's go in the front and see how it did there. This is also a little bit of complicated spots. It is supposed to technically mow this as well. And then over here, it actually missed a lot of spots here, which is kind of strange. So right here, it missed this entire line. Missed this portion here as well. It was mowing this at nighttime, so I'm not sure if there's like a vision issue or satellite issue closer to the house, but you can see the stripes here. So, I mean, it does mow a lot, like more than you would cover if it was yourself mowing straight lines. So checking out the front here, just want to see, because I didn't, this was happening like 3 a.m.-ish. So I'll have to run it out here just to see how it does out here, but looks like it did cover everything. But yeah, you can see the stripes here too. So if you do want those stripes, the Yuki Mini or Yuko Mini will give you stripes. Yeah, definitely missed some spots here. Definitely missed some spots, but I think it probably covered like 90-ish% of everything. So that's really good. Obviously I didn't do anything. I just really had to map everything out. We'll have to test this out. But I think the other elephant in the room is how long did it take? It took like 16 to 17 hours, so almost an entire day to do this in yard. And it's not a big yard, so in some cases you might want it to go faster. I think that's kind of the main thing. You know, it's kind of the same thing with like if you're charging your car versus using a gas car, you kind of want it to charge faster. You want it to charge as fast as a gas car. Just like you want this probably to mow as quickly as you mow it. So I think that's the main thing that might be a problem for some people. But think about it this way, it's passively mowing your lawn. You're not paying attention to it. It's just scheduled like every couple of days to start mowing. And you can also do like the front on a specific day and the back on another day. It had to recharge itself, I believe, 3 times. And it takes 2.5 hours to charge from, I think 15% is when it wants to go back to the charging station, and to 90%. So that's when it wants to go back out. So far I'd say it does a decent job, but I'll have to pay attention to it a bit more. This one does have like a feature, like the hardware actually like going over bumps and stuff like that. It does keep the mower or the blades on the ground, so you're truly getting that 2.8-inch cut. So I think that's something that's nice, because our lawnmower doesn't really do that. So it could be, you know, 3 inches over here, but not 3 inches on the other side. The other thing to note is, like, if you have a lot of tree coverage, this might not be good for you. But overall, I think it's pretty decent. I think we're gonna have to test this out a little bit more to see if we're gonna keep it or not. Okay, so not good. This thing is freaking running over a plant here. Well, if this thing doesn't keep growing, we know why, because this freaking thing just demolished it. Yeah, so whatever the heck happened here. Again, it has a light, has vision cameras, and it still ran into this bush here. So it doesn't have a bumper in the front, so that could be the main issue here, but I already marked, like, it's gonna run into it again. Oh wait, it stopped. Okay, I don't know why it did run into that in the first place. Real big problem. Can't have it running into these. But I guess I can make a bigger circle for the no-go zone. I mean, I already made a no-go zone for the thing around it, so satellite's supposed to be within centimeters, and you know, obviously it just mowed this thing over, so not good. Not good at all. I did change the sensitivity to sensitive instead of the standard. You can also turn it off as well. And at nighttime, it probably makes sense to just have it standard. And I think I typically have this thing running during the night and having it use all of its sensors to try to avoid any obstacles and any animals or anything like that. So I guess if you're running it at night and you have things that you don't run it into, use that setting. So when it's not in sensitive mode, it does run into bushes like this. It hasn't really gotten stuck on any of the landscaping that we have here. There's not really a ton. Last night it did get stuck over here, even with sensitivity mode on. So that's a bit of a concern here. So something to note, it did get stuck like right back here. So it basically ran into this and then was like, I can't get back home. Then I turned the sensitivity mode off and then it was able to get back. Seemingly a problem there, so I might have to map it so it doesn't go back behind here. So again, more stuff that it's not mowing, but here I might want to just mark as a no-go zone, but again, I haven't seen the best experience when it's done this, so. But again, like even just me mowing the lawn here, I don't get every spot, but it's definitely trying to work around this bit here. And let's see if it injures the plant to any degree here. It is digging up quite a bit here. You'll have to play around with this to see if it mows or doesn't mow. It's definitely seemingly not something that you can just let it do its own thing, because it does get stuck. And it also doesn't have a bumper in front, so it doesn't like if it runs into something, it doesn't necessarily know it's running into something, minus the fact that it has cameras on it. Physically, it does not have that bumper, so you can see like it's in the front of it, it's like getting pretty roughed up. Let me give you a close-up of it here. Quite a bit of roughed upness that it's just bumping into. So one of the cool parts about having the sensitivity turned up high is that it can see, you know, spots that don't have grass and basically not mow there. You can see here with this bit, it's a little bit of a problematic thing with just rear-wheel drive, but still no issues, still able to maneuver and figure itself out. Definitely got some tangled bits here that we may want to clean up, and maybe going into some of the maintenance aspects of having a robot lawnmower. And I think I've mentioned this before, but just in terms of like noise, this is just so much better than like a gas powered thing, even much better than my ego powered electric powered lawnmower. It's just so much quieter. Lovely to be able to run this during the nighttime. Granted, its vision is not as good during the night, so it does have that bright light that you saw in some of the previous clips, so that is good to see. But that's probably the only thing that may be like something to note or burden, is that it does have that very bright light. We can try also just seeing the obstacle avoidance. I'll just stand right in front of it here and we'll see what it does. So it's slowing down here. There's my feet. It's going around me. It is unsensitive, like I mentioned. If I do change that, we can see if it does run me over, just for a test. So on Sunday when we ran this, you can see the lines over here. It went this way, and we did the randomized thing so that now it's going the opposite way to do like checker. So this will be good to get coverage if it misses spots too. So we have it running currently twice a week, and I think that's also just to make sure that we get the utilization out of this too. You know, just so it gets as much coverage as possible. So far so good in terms of like just tweaking some of the things, knowing what it can and cannot do. I think we'll have to put it on the sensitive mode at all times, just because you know, running into people, running into flowers. You know, if you have a hose lying around, I don't think it's going to detect the hose. So, you know, it detects me, animals, different things like that, but, you know, we don't know if it'll trip up a hose or not. All right, we've laid the trap. Let's try to make sure that it's in the way on the next pass and see if it runs it over. This is just a hockey puck bit for a jack. We'll see if it runs it over or not. Oh yeah, just ran straight over it. Maybe a few inches off the ground is a bit of a problem for it. So let's stack this up here and see if it runs over this. Oh yeah, just run straight over it. Granted, this isn't high enough for it to like scratch it in terms of getting it. I think it will notice that, but any hose or anything like that that you just have lying around, it's definitely going to run over it with the current firmware that it has. So not the greatest. Definitely has to be like a robot vacuum where you have to have your lawn pretty well manicured, and not a bunch of stuff lying around. Like this tree that we're currently under drops a bunch of sticks. So yeah, that would be a problem for this. So I guess keep that in mind. All right, we have another object. This is more tall. So let's see how it does here. Seems like it's seeing something. Okay, so it does detect that. That is taller than 4 inches. So just something to note. This is currently at 14 hours, just over 14 hours. So it's like 14 hours, 15 minutes. And it's coming back to recharge because it's out of battery. It's at 14%, so it needs to come back and recharge. Again, time-wise, it takes quite a long time for it to mow the entire yard, but I mean, again, passive. So if it ends up mowing the yard and you don't really have to do much, and you spend 15 minutes kind of tidying up the lawn, but this is the satellite bits, the RTK. It is hooked through a wire all the way over to the charge station. This is the channel that it's allowed to go on. It's not supposed to go anywhere else other than here. And then it's gonna head to the charging station, so you can see what that looks like. And obviously, to mention, I didn't need to tell it to charge or recharge. It knows when it gets under 15% or around 15%, it needs to come back to the base station to charge. So again, I didn't touch anything. It's just doing this itself, which is pretty crazy, right? And it's gonna do first try. It doesn't have to try multiple times to fit in and get a charge. Let's see, contactors there. I'll hit up. And it's charging now. But we'll see how long it takes for it to fully do its thing. It's currently at 81%, so it's had to charge twice. And the backyard last night, getting stuck a few spots, and then earlier this morning, did some of the front yard and some of the side yard here, and the other side yard as well. So we'll see how long it ends up taking the entire yard. The Yuka has awoken. So something to note is that it does not charge only to what it needs to do the rest of the yard. So it charges always up to 90% to restart. So even though it's only at 81%, or it's at 81% of the lawn currently, and it only needs to do 19 more percent, it's still charged up to 90%. So something to take note of. And I have now switched it to the multi-point turn instead of the 0 turn. So this is supposed to do not tear up your lawn as much, because you can see the tires on this thing are pretty like heavy duty. They stick into the ground and dig up mud pretty easily. So you can see this turn now that it's making is a multi-point turn instead of just flipping back over. So this is supposed to be easier on the yard. So yeah, I think most people should probably use that, unless you have just the most gorgeous, lush yard that never runs into any issues. But I think this is, yeah, something that is a little bit good to notice. We're at 16 hours and 45 minutes currently for the yard, and so it's, again, a lot of time, but you know, I'm not doing any work right now. All right, so taking another look here, it did get lost somewhere randomly right here. I was able to manually move it from upstairs, so that was nice, but yeah, it randomly lost signal and thought it was out of the work area here. So I'm not sure what happened there, but I did want to see what happens when this thing gets really close to the edge, because there is a pretty big curb here. Can't really see it, but it's about, what, like probably close to like a 10-inch drop off. So right now it's in the sensitive mode, but I actually want to switch it to the not sensitive mode. I had it on there before and it was kind of just like, it didn't like drop off. So let's see, we'll change it and see what happens here. All right, sensitivity mode is turned to standard. It seems like it's still doing fine. It's still not getting close enough to the edge to really warrant like any worrying. It was doing it in the dark too, so I imagine that still wasn't really an issue. It seems to be okay with some dropouts because of trees and whatnot. So another modification that we made for this is to not go right here in this area. It got stuck here in this spot here the other night, and it's mostly just because it was in sensitive mode. So basically it got in here and then it was nighttime and it was like, I can't get back. So that's one of the downsides of switching to that mode. So it also says currently that it's just not like the RTK station or the charging station was moved. So I'm not sure what the deal is with that. Haven't moved anything. It's in the same spot that it's always been. And now it seems to be confused, but we'll see what ends up happening here, if it's able to dock or not, because it was able to dock before. So I rebooted it. It was having some issues with me connecting to Bluetooth, even though it kept saying like, you need to be right next to the thing. And I was like, I'm standing right next to it. So that was something that was a little bit annoying too. So we'll see. It seems to be able to get into the charger fine, but yeah, a little bit of hiccups here and there. So I just started the lawnmower. I'm not sure what it's doing all the way out there. Is it just starting in a different spot than it used to? Not sure. It looks like it takes like 17 to 19 hours to mow the entire yard. So I guess we will see what those averages have been. That's with charging and what have you all added into it. So yeah, we'll see. Received the notification that the robot is stuck, which is really annoying because it's literally right here. And I don't really know why you're stuck. I think it's because the sensitivity. So if I change that, then it should not have a problem. But you can also hit continue working and we'll see what happens then. Okay, after hitting that, it's still working. But again, I didn't receive a notification. I just walked past it and saw that it wasn't moving. So I don't know how long it was just sitting there not doing anything, but quite annoying that even with like that mode on, to make sure that it doesn't run into plants that I don't want it to run into, it's still getting stuck like in a tree where it has that, and it should just know like not to run into it. But we'll see what this does right here. I think two things to note is that there's obviously a change in like how it responds when it's nighttime, obstructions and things that run into its path. But in the daytime, it might make sense to just keep running it in just regular mode, not sensitive mode. So I'm not sure, like there's no way to like change the setting like to be sensitive at dark and not sensitive during the daytime. And also like if it makes sense to like, because around here I can make that outline further out so it doesn't run into the issue of running into the trees. I just put the outline pretty far in because obviously the grass goes further in. So yeah, I'm not sure. There's a few different ways you can go about doing that. You know, obviously getting stuck behind here, the flower bed or the garden bed and stuff like that. Everybody has a different lawn, so if you have a wide open lawn, then you really don't have to worry about this. But since we have obstacles and things that make it a bit more complicated, you have to think about these types of things when thinking about a robot lawnmower. So you can probably see some of the raindrops that are coming down. This does have a rain sensor on it, and it currently is set to not mow on a rainy day. So it should come back here when it senses that it's raining. But so far, the last few minutes, it has not come in. I can't imagine, it's under a tree right now, so it's probably blocking some of the rain, but it's got to be hitting it at some point. Looks like it finally got the wiser and decided, hey, it's raining outside. So it took quite some time, but it is working its way back to the charger to just continue recharging because it paused. I don't know, like, if it'll just keep sensing every like 5 to 10 minutes or something like that to see if it's stopped raining, but would be interesting to see and share what the functionality is. So this guy just finished and it's heading back to the charging station, but I'm curious what happens if I just pick it up and walk away with it, because that essentially can happen. So let's see what happens. I'm gonna walk in front of it. It's gonna stop. But let's just walk away with it and see what happens. So I flipped it over and just walked away. So house is over that way. It has some blue lights shining on it, but there's nothing that's really happening. I haven't gotten a notification or anything like that. So it seems like you can just pick it up and walk away. No notifications, no nothing happens. So, not great. Let's see what happens if we drop it down here. Nothing happening. All right, so got a notification and it's been stuck here for quite some time. Yuka is stuck here because it's running over this plant again. So you can see the damage bit here. So it just kept running into it. I turned off the sensitivity, but there's obviously little divots in the hole here, but you can see how much it was digging up here. So yeah, overall not great. Thinking of returning this because it's just having issues with simple things like this, so I'm not entirely sure what to do. I think this one's gonna have to go back because this is just like too problematic and you can't just leave it and not worry about it. So after all that, it seems that it doesn't remember what it did previously. So it basically says on the map that it has to redo all of this. So yeah, not sure what the heck the deal is. I sent the email to Mammotion, and they basically said, tell us the model that you have and the firmware and so on and so forth, so that they can figure out what the issue is. But yeah, it just keeps, even on sensitive mode, keeps running into our little bushes here. So not sure what the deal is. I even have this marked out as like a spot that it's a no-go zone. So yeah, I don't know what else to do. Maybe make the no-go zone bigger, but that's also annoying because then that's more things that I have to, where is it going? Yeah, so it just restarted. Don't know what the deal is. It's starting everything over in the backyard here, so that's very, very frustrating. So don't think I can really recommend this. You know, it does a decent job, but I mean, I wouldn't say that this is very complicated yard, but apparently it is too complicated for this thing. This thing died before it can get back to the charger, so that's lovely. Running when it's wet, not so great, but somebody said to check if the wheels were moving, see if that was an issue. That's fine. There's that. This thing says it's stuck. That's the message that I get on the app. I'm not sure why it says it's stuck, because it's just in its charger, right? So I guess I'm going to hit start working again. Usually what it does is it charges up to 90%. The Mammotion people are kind of dodgy at the moment, so I don't know. Like, I basically asked them for, it's within 30 days. I asked them for a return policy and how to move forward with the return. These cameras clearly aren't doing the job that it needs to do, and the fact that it doesn't have a bumper may be causing the reason why this thing is not working so well. So other solutions, get different brands. Get one that's strictly vision based, because I'm clearly having issues with RTK. Also, I mean, the other thing is, like, this isn't the best spot for an RTK, but since this is already not working super well, all I really want to do right now is return it for a different one. The other models, there's a Luba Mini, which is at the moment just a little bit more expensive than this. This actually was reduced to $1,000. So, you know, that's a better price for this. And the other thing that I can possibly do is keep this, ask them for the lower price, figure out what to do over here in terms of just trying to make sure that, because this is right now seemingly the only issue that we're having, just it running into this Moscow plants or whatever. But yeah, I got stuck here yesterday, so it was bending this thing. These things seem pretty good in terms of strength, so that is good, and there's still stuff blooming off of this. And this one got it pretty bad. You can see here, it was ripping off some of this here. So this one still seems pretty good. You can essentially make the no-go lines bigger so that it doesn't go here. It's even missing like this part here. It's missing a lot of the grass here, so like overall it seems to continuously have no issues docking and undocking, but once it goes on its merry way, it just runs into a bunch of issues. Overall experience is like 60% good, 40% bad. It got lost behind these trees, like I mentioned. Then it got stuck behind our garden bed over there. It randomly got stuck here underneath this tree, and it's ran into this bush here, that bush there, twice, this one, once this one. But overall, yeah, if it keeps doing that, like, you know, that's not a solution that we can use. I've adjusted the map a bit, and I'll show you in a screen grab, but I've made the no-go lines for these plants here a little bit bigger, and by a little bit, I mean a lot of it. Previously, I just drove it around with plants and just expected that the RTK would be accurate enough to supplement that. But it turns out that's just not the case. So I've drawn big lines, like a big zone around this and around these two. And then it should be mowing everything else. So you can see here sort of where that line ends. So it's about like a good 3-ish feet outside of it. So there's a perimeter of 3 feet, and it will not mow in between it too. It's just a big like rectangle. So yeah, we're hoping that this solves the issue, but again, that's just a limitation of this with the vision on it. It's just like the cameras aren't good enough. There's no bumper in the front, so you can still get these. You're just gonna have to find out what the limits of these particular robots are and how they can help you. So, you know, if I can bypass an hour and a half of mowing and I spend some time troubleshooting this and figuring out what works, come out here and spend like 15 minutes walking around and doing spots where it can't get with like a string trimmer, then we sort of solve all of that issue. But seemingly not something that can just come out and mow everything, and there are certain limitations for this, and this one definitely requires some adjustments and figuring out what it can and cannot do. But there you have it. There's the Yuka Mini mowing its way across the yards of America. And yeah, run straight into the plant. Let's see what it does here. It does go around it after it like runs straight into it, but here we go again. Okay, seemingly detects that one this time around, and is moseying its way around it. Yep, still running it over. Seems to have noticed that it actually ran into something this time, which it hasn't done that in the past. So I guess that's a little bit better, but it still ran into it. Again, with a small plant like this, it's pretty bad to damage it. Yep, still running into it and trying to mow it down again. Even with the brick here, still ran into it and still trying to destroy our plants here, so it's lovely. I haven't really had too many issues with it at nighttime or just in general losing signal. It has had some issues. Again, the RTK station is not in the best location, but you know, ideally probably mounted up there with it sticking out with a solar panel. Overall, this is doing pretty good, and it does like 80-90% of what I want it to do. So with that said, you know, setting this up for, let's say, my mom or something like that, this would be pretty easy and have it do like a bunch of work that, you know, instead of having a lawn service come out all the time. I definitely think it could replace that and do a good job of it. Now, talk about maintenance. Maintenance wise, you know, you do have to do some maintenance. You do possibly have to change the blades at the bottom. You do have to possibly clean the cameras. That's the other thing with the Yuka, the one that's bigger than this. It actually has a little windshield wiper for the camera system, which this one does not have. And for the Luba 2 Mini, it doesn't have that either. So, you know, newer hardware, slightly newer or slightly better technology, and it has the capabilities if you wanted to upgrade to pick up leaves and stuff like that on the ground. So yeah, with that said, let me know in the comments what you think. I think this is quite good. Have had some issues here and there with, you know, random things, but security wise also, it says it has GPS, but it says there's no way, like they won't give you a discount if it gets stolen or anything like that. It says it's compatible with an AirTag. So in the wheels here, you could take off those caps and put AirTags in them. And that's kind of their recommendation. Yeah, other than that, I do like the customizability of their software. It is quite good. The one mishap, it doesn't keep the work that it does with the mapping. So on my robots that vacuum robots, those actually retain the like what it did during that specific job. So I wish that Mammotion actually had that as well, where it showed me the job that it did and what mapping it did. Because currently it just shows like how, like the square footage aspect of it and how long it took, but it doesn't show me visually what it actually did or not. And it isn't easy to like section off certain spots. So like, let's say this backyard is one entire area. If I just wanted to do like this section of it, I'd have to map that out separately, which is kind of annoying, but it is something that you can technically do. It's just not something that's easily done after things are mapped out. But yeah, overall, the thing looks good. I think it does get barked at by like the animals. Like some dogs have not liked this at all when it's been running. You know, there is a manual switch for changing the changing the cutting length. Obviously has the stop buttons, has the buttons here where I've had to change and actually restart it because it's had errors, and you have to clear them by pressing like the grass and start, or pressing home and start. And then the rain sensors don't seem to be super great. It's been raining, like it's rained like an entire day, and it still was mowing, and then like randomly throughout the day it stopped. So the rain sensors don't seem to be super let's say sensitive, which may be a good thing, but yeah. Replaceable batteries is nice. Haven't really had too many issues with the wheels or the tires meshing this up, but the tires are pretty bulky and make it like pretty easy to you know, maneuver around. But you know, I haven't had issues where it's gotten stuck on something. It's really only been an issue where it's gotten stuck hitting something and then it wasn't able to move after it hit something. So yeah, I think this is pretty good for most lawns. You know, unless you have huge hills, even then it still might be okay. But longevity wise, it's hard to say. We've only had this for like 3-4 weeks, and thus far it's been pretty good from what I've seen. And just be careful with things that you want it to be sensitive around mowing. And yeah, again, let me know in the comments what you think, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Trying to run this thing over and then just tearing up the grass, trying to get out. So needs to be in sensitive mode, because if not, this thing is just going to run all this crap over.